Hi, I'm Sifu Kuttel, and in this video we're going to go over a particular drill to work on something very small within forms, but something that's very important. And this is not withdrawing your hand between movements. Now, this is very deceptive because when you watch somebody do a form, it's very easy to see that their front hand gets pulled back and chambered next to the hip or getting ready for that next position. And we want to eliminate that idea that the hand actually pulls back, but rather that the body moves forward towards it. So this is a simple drill that you can do with a pole, ideally something that's about shoulder level or lower. You actually don't want to do anything higher up because we want to be able to drop down into our stances as we do this. Now remember too, this is not an absolute perfect drill, but this is to develop an awareness of your hand position in relation to your body as you're shifting with Tai Chi stances. So let's keep it simple, grab a pole, and let's go get to work. We'll begin this exercise by taking the pole and then resting it on the ground. From here, we're going to just rest our palm on top. Now, I'm not pushing down into the ground. I'm just keeping the pole straight up and down so it doesn't tip over. If you have too much pressure downward or you're trying to cup the pole, you're going to have this, it looks like you're shifting in a car, so you don't want to have that look. You want to just keep the pole straight up and down. And now I want you to just get acquainted with this balance and in this position, and also the Tai Chi principle of keeping our elbow bending downwards. So when your elbow bends, make sure it bends downward. And what we're going to do is just get comfortable moving around the pole. I want you to get used to stepping forward and stepping back. Now if I go from this angle, right here, my arm is extended, I step forward, I step back, just getting used to that. Okay, we can do the same thing with the other hand. We'll step forward, step back, step forward, paying attention to letting the elbow bend downward. Now, once I get comfortable with that, we'll start moving around at different angles. So now I kind of dance around the pole here. I move a little bit in, a little bit out. This is where I want my body to get really used to keeping this hand in the same position, no matter what the angle is that I'm starting from. So we're building that spatial awareness, and we're making sure that we bend our elbow properly. Now let's do this in a more structured manner. Now that you're comfortable with distance in relation to the pole, bending the elbow downward, paying attention to that, let's do this in more of a Tai Chi stance and angle. So we're going to start with stepping straight forward. I'll have my hand extended out, mostly, not full extension. We don't want locked out. We want to have the elbow bent slightly. And I'm going to align my foot up with the pole. So my right hand is on the pole, my right foot, the toes are lined up with the pole. Now from here, I'm going to pivot my toes towards that 45, bend the knees to balance position, and step forward and then shift forward towards the pole. Making sure to keep my elbow bending downward, shifting back, and then stepping back to our neutral position. So if I'm facing this way, toes are in line with the pole. We're going to do 3 of these. Pivot, step, shift, back, and up. Again, pivot, step, shift, back, and then up. Again, pivot, step, shift, back, and up. Even as we move back, this is part of the drill. So when you're stepping back, don't think of it as a natural, relaxed reset. You want to as well make sure that that hand stays on top and in a good position. Let's do the same thing with the other foot. We're going to do this 3 times. So again, line up your foot with the pole. That foot is going to pivot outward, step, toes come down, shift, back, and then back to our neutral position. Pivot, step, shift, back, and reset. Again, last time, step, forward, back, and reset. Now let's change our angle. We're going to step towards 45 degrees. So now my feet are going to be this way, the pole is out towards that 45. I'm going to have both toes pointing in that same direction, making sure that my elbow still bends slightly. As I step, there's going to be some extension with the arm. So from here, I'll pivot, step, shift forward, maintaining this hand position, back and up. Again, pivot, step, toes come down, shift, back, maintaining that focus on the pole, and then return. Last one, pivot, step, shift, back, and up. We're going to do the same thing, other side. So again, I'm pointing towards that 45. Again, whatever hand is on the pole, that foot is going to pivot, step, toes come down, shift, back, and up. Again, pivot, step out, toes come down, shift, back, reset. Last one, pivot, step out, toes come down, shift, back, reset. So now we've gone straight forward, we've gone towards the corner. Let's do the 90-degree angle. Now, as you do this, don't start with your arm completely extended. We want to have a slight bend of the elbow. And then when we step, that way we have some room to extend into this one. Okay? So I will have the pole out to the 90-degree angle, elbow slightly bent, but I do want extension on this one. Again, same idea. If my right hand is holding the pole, my right foot's going to pivot, step, shift. And now my arm has to kind of go a little bit further back. So we don't want to turn our chest all the way and disconnect the shoulder. We'll lead more with that front foot shoulder. Okay, so we have an angle with our upper body. Stepping back and return. Again, pivot, sink down, step, toes come down, shift and extend, come back, and then return. Last time, pivot, out, toes come down, extend, back, and in. Let's do the same thing on the other side. If I'm facing directly towards you this time, so now the pole is out towards that 90-degree angle. I'm looking this way. If my left hand is on the pole, my left foot is going to pivot, sink down, step out, shift forward. Again, shoulders are not going to turn. I don't want to disconnect that shoulder. I'm going to lead with my opposite foot, shoulder. Step in and return. Again, pivot, sink, out, forward, back, and then in and reset. Last time, pivot, sink, heel, toes, shift, shift back, and return. All right, so there you have it. Now you can see this is a very simple drill. We're just moving our body and we're getting focus on the hand that is typically not the one that's leading the next technique. So we're developing that spatial awareness, we're developing that understanding of our body positioning and our hand positioning as we move and use our Tai Chi footwork. Now, I do encourage you to practice this one, but again, this is not a perfect drill. There are some flaws to it. There are some ways to cheat it. So look more towards the principle and what we're trying to build here, and then integrate that into your Tai Chi training. The best next step is simply to go and practice your forms and then focus on your offhand. Focus on that hand after the technique is done and you're setting up for the next one in your transition. Pay attention to what that hand is doing. If you've been doing Tai Chi long enough, you should be able to trust your front hand, your lead hand, and then pay attention and put more focus on that offhand. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this drill. I hope it helps with your training, and I'll see you in the next video.